The wind over Varys carried only silence, a silence so dense that it seemed to observe. Kai Nern advanced against the cold, feeling the thin air scratch from the inside. The boots struck the burned stone with a dry sound, echoing in a world that had already forgotten what life was. The silhouette of the training post emerged ahead. Graceless towers, antennas, blocks of metal and concrete embedded in the rock like petrified guilt. The Federation kept that place not out of necessity, but out of shame. Varys, or Ves, as the ancient texts said, had once been green. Now it was only hard memory. "Hurry up, Ner!" Sergeant Voss's voice cut the wind like a blade. Short, compact, look of someone who had seen more deaths than celebrations. "Delay in the transport, Sergeant," ventured Kai. She didn't even pretend to hear. Tradition is tradition, even for those who arrive late. She took him to the central square. In the middle of the reddish dust was the statue. Not human, a Cienn woman, seated, arms open, in a posture that seemed at the same time surrender and welcome. The stone reproduced the delicate crests of her species, the serene face, but split by a deep fissure. The fingers were smooth, polished by the touch of generations of soldiers. "You know what to do," said Voss. "Kiss the forehead of the last sin and seal your commitment to peace." Kai swallowed dryly. They called that respect, but he knew it tasted of displayed victory, a gesture of domination with a layer of varnish. Even so, he obeyed. He approached the statue. He felt the cold of the stone even before touching it. He bent, touched his lips to the frozen forehead. The touch lasted 1 second. It was enough. A pulse crossed the stone like a heart awakening. Luminous veins opened from the point of the kiss, running through the face, through the chest, through the arms. The surface began to crack, to snap, to peel. Fragments of stone fell at Kai's feet. The eyes opened. They were not of stone. They were alive, blue, deep, too ancient for that small square. The woman breathed, a weak sound, but in that silent world, it seemed a contained thunder. Kai fell backward, heart racing. Voss raised her hand to the communicator, only static. The woman rose, tall, covered in dust, like a memory coming out of the grave. Her eyes sought exactly one face, his. "You kissed me," she said, as one who states a sacred fact. "It's tradition," stammered Kai. "I didn't know that." The seal was broken. Her eyes shone like ice under light. The signal was sent. They will return. Above them, the sky flickered. Ancient satellites lit up one by one like an artificial constellation. A network of light enveloped the planet. In that instant, without fanfare, without speech, the destiny of two peoples came out of sleep. The kiss on the stone had awakened more than a statue. Hours later, the post was no longer a forgotten place. It was a heart in tachycardia. Siren screams, holograms flickering, voices colliding in communication channels. What before was slow routine became coordinated chaos. In the command center, a hologram displayed the space around Varys. Up there, dominating the orbit, were they. The Cienn ships. Huge, silent, organic metallic structures covered by blue veins, as if they had blood of light running inside. They did not look like machines. They looked like creatures in vigil. "They simply appeared," said Lieutenant Commander Rail, the voice failing. "No warp trail, no jump signature, nothing. Empty. And suddenly," he pointed to the swarm in the hologram. "That." Admiral Thorne watched silently. Tense shoulders, hands interlaced behind his back. "Cienn siege ships," he murmured. "I saw recordings of the war. A few are enough to wipe out a continent." Sergeant Voss, beside Kai, clenched her jaw. "But they left. They retreated beyond the rim. There is no record of contact for more than a century." Thorne did not take his eyes from the hologram. Maybe they never left. Maybe they were only waiting. It took a second before the word came out. A signal. His gaze fell upon Kai. The recruit repeated the story. The statue, The kiss, the tremor, the living woman, the warning. Each word seemed less believable, and even so, no one could ignore what the sky showed. "And the woman?" asked the Admiral. "Where is she now?" "Disappeared during the power outage," said Voss. 13 minutes of blackout. When the light returned, she was no longer there. A beep cut the air. "Sir," the communications officer warned. "Transmission received. Origin, Cienn Fleet." The silence in the room settled, tense. "On screen," ordered Thorn. The image appeared, a Cienn face, blue skin marked by elegant crests, eyes shining with coldness and certainty. "Federation post," he said, the voice grave like a verdict. "The treaty was broken. The Guardian was freed. We returned to adjust the debt." Thorn stepped forward. "I am Admiral Thorn. Any violation was accidental without hostile intent. We can review the terms, negotiate." "There is no negotiation," cut the Cienn. "The seal was broken. The debt must be paid. Prepare to fight or surrender." The transmission was ended. No discussion, no second chance. The holograms showed the ships beginning to move. Thorn inhaled slowly. "I want everything about the Cienn War and the ceasefire treaty. Now." It took less than a minute for the dread to grow. "Sir," the intelligence officer's voice wavered. "There is nothing. All the records were erased, even the highest level ones." A hole opened in the air. "So we are at war because of a treaty no one remembers," said Thorn, in a tone that mixed anger and helplessness. Kai felt the sentence pierce his chest. He was not a strategist, not a hero. He had only been the idiot who performed a ritual without understanding anything. But he remembered her eyes, the certainty in her voice. The seal was broken. The signal was sent. She knew what was happening. She was the only one who knew. "I can find her," said Kai, before fear could command him to shut up. Voss shot him a killing look. "You are just a recruit, Nir. This here is a military operation, not ancient prophecy." Thorn, however, did not cut him off. "Why do you think she would listen to you?" "Because she looked at me as if I were the mistake and the key at the same time," answered Kai. "If anyone still has a chance to make this story stop, it's her. And if there is someone she might listen to, it's me." The ground shook. New alerts appeared. "Cienn ships entering the atmosphere," shouted Rail. "Multiple. Many. Red code," ordered Thorn. "Battle stations. Civilians to shelters. Now." The post dived into chaos. Among running, screams, and alarms, no one noticed when Kai left through the side with a backpack, a rifle, and the decision that would change the fate of two worlds. The night on Varys had weight. It was not only absence of light, it was as if the entire planet shrank into shadows, waiting for the impact of what came from the sky. Kai walked among rocks and fissures, guided by a scanner that insisted on returning distorted readings. Nothing human, nothing clear. Each step echoed too far. Each shadow seemed to watch. "You will not find what you seek with that." The voice arrived before the figure. Kai turned, rifle in hand. She was there. Salana, standing on a wall of ruin, the body emitting a soft, bluish light that did not seem reflected. It seemed to be born from her, free from the stone, of flesh and time again. The wind moved her white bluish hair, and the eyes, that deep blue of ancient ocean, pierced him as if they read thought in layers. She descended with a lightness that seemed almost disrespect for gravity. "That device sees what they taught it to see," she said, indicating the scanner. "The paths of my people were made to confuse eyes and machines that do not understand one thing: living geometry." Kai lowered slowly the rifle. The shame weighed almost as much as the fear. "I needed to find you," he said, the voice hoarse. "Your people are in orbit. They say we broke a treaty, but no one knows which treaty they are talking about." She observed him in silence for a few seconds that seemed far too long. "You walk with questions in your mouth," she said at last, "but you carry a weapon like someone who wants to pay for a crime." The comment hit straight. He looked at the rifle, breathed deep, threw the strap back, leaving the weapon more as a weight than as protection. "My name is Kai Nern." He hesitated. "And yours?" "Salana." The name seemed at the same time foreign and too right there. She made a slight nod, calling him to follow her. They passed through natural corridors, stone stairways almost erased by time, narrow gaps that seemed made to scare claustrophobics, until they arrived at a buried dome. The walls shone with moving symbols, living glyphs, running as if they were rivers of light trapped in the rock. "We called this place the Memory Cave," explained Salana. "Here we kept the truths we knew you would try to forget." She touched the ground with the palm of her hand. A crystal emerged, in the shape of a teardrop, pulsing with internal light. As soon as she lifted it, the air filled with images. Humans and Cienn facing each other under red skies, planets destroyed, entire fleets disappearing in flashes. "The war had no end," she said. "No side could win without destroying itself along with it. So we did something you almost never do. We stopped." Kai watched in silence, the stomach turning. "We created a pact," she continued. "We would retreat, but one of us would stay. A guardian, a living seal, linked to the sacred worlds, to prevent the Federation from touching them." She lowered the crystal. Her eyes met his with a cutting calm. "I was that seal." Kai felt his whole body freeze. "You were the statue. I was the rock itself," she corrected. "In flesh transformed, consciousness trapped, feeling everything. Touched, revered, used as symbol, while you forgot what you had promised." Kai brought his hand to his mouth, as if that could hold back the nausea. "And when I kissed you..." "You activated the code," Salana completed. "The system understood that the seal should be broken, and that it was time to call the fleet." "But I didn't have that intention," Kai exploded. "It was just an empty ritual." She tilted her head without anger, only with an ancient sadness. "Intention never saved you from consequences." The crystal shone stronger, projecting a star map. Several points lit up. Other worlds, other seals, other fleets in movement. "They believe that you used the Guardian as bait, that you freed the seal to take the planet, that you broke the treaty by choice." "And they won't hear you?" asked Kai, desperate. "To them, I am a failed promise," she answered. "A broken seal no longer has a voice." The silence weighed. "Then what can we do?" The question came out almost in whisper. Salana closed her eyes for a moment, like someone who consults memories that hurt. "There is a way to stop the war before it truly begins." "What?" She faced him with something that was not pity, it was respect. "You broke the seal, Kai Nern. Only you can restore it. But that demands total surrender." "Surrender of what?" "Of that which you still call life." The world trembled, and it was not a figure of speech. Distant explosions made the ground vibrate. Flashes colored the horizon. The air seemed heavier, as if the planet itself knew it was on the edge of something definitive. Kai and Salana advanced between ravines, the bluish light of her body serving as guide and beacon. "The basin of the echo is right after that ridge," she said. "It was there that the first treaty was signed, and only there can a new seal be created." Kai looked at the sky. Ships cut the clouds like giant shadows. He could be up there, with a rifle in hand, trying to do what he trained his whole life for. But he was there, on the ground, running beside the Guardian he had freed unintentionally. A stronger rumble shook everything. The ridge they were climbing split. The ground opened under Kai's feet. He plummeted. "Salana!" His fingers found a rock by instinct. He hung over an abyss of blue smoke and toxic gases, his body swinging. She turned, saw, did not think, ran back, even with the ground cracking behind her. "Give me your hand." He extended his arm, but the gap widened. For a second, it was obvious it would not work. Even so, Salana jumped. Time seemed to hold its breath. She crossed the air in an improbable arc, hair floating like liquid flames. Her fingers closed on his wrist with absurd firmness. With a single impulse, she pulled Kai upward. The two rolled across the edge, falling side by side, breathless. "You are completely crazy," he said, trying to recover his breath. "Possibly," she answered, with an almost invisible smile. And yet the warmest gesture he had seen on that cold planet. The horizon lit up in red. Orbital bombardment. The first human cities were beginning to be hit. "We have no more time," she said, serious again. "Let's go." When they arrived at the basin of the Echo, Kai felt the world shrink. It was a perfect valley, with walls of polished stone reflecting the sky as if they stood inside a bowl of mirror. In the center rose a corroded pillar, half machine, half stone, still vibrating. "It was here that we sealed the silence," said Salana, "that we swore never again to bleed these worlds." Kai approached slowly. He felt a vibration in the air, like a distant heart beating under his feet. "And it is here that the seal needs to be reborn." He took a moment to understand what that meant. When he understood, the air seemed to become even thinner. "You are talking about another guardian." "They will never trust me again," she said, simple. "I am proof of failure. The new seal needs to be someone who represents your side." Me. It was not a question. It was a shot of reality. She nodded. "You, the man who broke the seal, can be the man who proves that the Federation is still capable of keeping a promise." Up above, the sky lit with another explosion. A Federation ship was falling, leaving a trail in flames. "If I do this, what happens to me?" he asked. Salana approached until her face was a few centimeters from his. "Your body will be converted into living stone. Your consciousness will be bound to the earth. You will see and feel everything, without being able to leave here. For how long? Until both sides truly desire peace." Kai let out a short, incredulous laugh. "So, probably, forever." She did not smile, and that said more than any answer. "There is no other option?" he insisted. "There is," she answered. "Fight until no one remains, and leave this world as another skeleton on the map." The ground trembled again, stronger. Time was running out. Kai closed his eyes, thought of the lives beneath those explosions, thought of his own insignificance, thought of the irony. A recruit without history, now holding the future of two peoples in his hands. He opened his eyes. "Show me what I have to do." Salana guided him through a passage to the vault. Down there, the chamber was immense. Columns of blue light sustained the ceiling. In the center, the living sarcophagus rippled, a cocoon of organic stone that seemed to breathe. "Here I was contained," she said. Beside it, another sarcophagus, cracked. "There! Someone who tried and failed. Fear broke him from within. The seal never formed." Kai stared at it for a few seconds, then took the rifle from his back and set it on the ground. Removed the uniform, the body trembling more from decision than from cold. "So it is here that it ends," he murmured. Salana shook her head. "It is here that the part of your story that is worth being told begins." He lay down inside the sarcophagus. The living stone molded itself to his body, adjusting as if the planet said, "I recognize you." "Was it like this for you?" he asked. "I had rituals, chants, crowds," she answered. "You have only the silence and the truth." She placed her hand over his heart. "Do not fight, Kai. If you resist, the seal breaks and you die for nothing. Accept." "And you?" he murmured. "What will you do after this?" "I will learn to hear a new silence," she answered. She leaned down, touched her lips to his forehead, exactly where he had kissed the stone. "For symmetry," she whispered. The sarcophagus closed. The stone rose, covering the chest, the neck, the face. Instinct screamed to escape. But for the first time, Kai Nern did not obey instinct. He obeyed choice and let go. In the heart of Varys, something awoke. It was not noise. It was a pulse. The sarcophagus vibrated. A blue light ran across its surface, spreading through the chamber walls like roots of energy. From there, the entire planet felt it. A field shone, invisible and absolute, surrounding Varus like a cocoon. Federation ships and the Cienn fleet about to fire froze in the air. Missiles stayed suspended, stopped halfway to the target. Then a voice echoed. It did not come from speakers. It did not come from radios. It came from within. The seal has been restored. Every soldier, every civilian, every child heard. The war has been contained. The blood has been interrupted. In the Cienn ships, consoles displayed ancient symbols, the code of the original treaty, now reactivated. The commanders looked at each other, astonished. A new guardian, murmured one of them. Human. In the underground, Salana kneeled before the sarcophagus. Sobs broke the silence as she felt, in the vibration of the stone, that Kai was there. Not as before, but alive, in a way that few would endure. You did it, she whispered. They will never know, but you did it. Days turned into weeks. The Cienn ships began to withdraw, not out of weakness, but out of honor to the reactivated pact. The Federation ceased fire, without fully understanding why. The official report spoke of containment anomaly. Religions called it miracle, but the truth had another name: sacrifice. Decades passed. Varus ceased to be only a military post. It became a place of pilgrimage. In the center of the same square where once had existed Salana's statue, another rose. A man with closed eyes, hand over the chest, calm expression. The translucent stone allowed a soft glow to be seen inside, as if something still pulsed. There was no name engraved. The files with Kai Nern had been erased, lost, or protected. People simply called him the Guardian. At night, when the wind blew from the north, the ground vibrated in a light rhythm, almost like a heart buried under kilometers of rock. Children ran barefoot, trying to feel the beats. "What is that?" they asked with shining eyes. The elders smiled. "It is the Guardian dreaming," they said. "He sleeps, so that we may live without fear." Somewhere between consciousness and silence, Kai Nern felt everything. The steps over the square, the laughter, the small hands touching the base of the statue. There was no glory, there were no medals, there was no name, but there was peace. And if a message could cross the fabric of the universe from that petrified heart, maybe it would say only this: peace is not a gift. It is a price, and someone always pays. And thus, for centuries, the new silence extended, guarded by the man who kissed the stone and became eternal. But this is only one of the many stories forgotten at the frontiers of time. If you've made it this far, subscribe to the channel Echoes of the Last Era to hear more tales of lost worlds, forbidden loves, and secrets hidden among the stars. Leave a like, share, and until the next echo.